Capital One is limiting access to their lounges. There's a great status match opportunity, and New York State passed a new credit card law. This and more in today's roundup. Big favor, give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm, and if you like Side Duck, and if you know anyone else who might benefit from this, share this with them. Sorry. First up, let's start off Capital One, and you might not know this, but they do have their own lounges in Dallas-Fort Worth, Washington IAD, and Denver. I've been to the DFW one right before Winter Storm was about to hit Dallas. It was a 1-hour lounge visit that turned into 6 hours due to weather. Still had a great experience, awesome space, and great staff. The food could be a little bit heartier, but that's fine. IAD was a bit of a different vibe, more of a fast stop to get a drink or two and maybe a snack. In contrast, it's not really a lounge where I'd want to spend 3 to 6 hours due to a bunch of flight delays. Right now and for 2024, you have a few ways to get in. If you have the Venture X or Venture X business, you're going to get unlimited visits, and for each of these visits, you can bring 2 guests with you. If you have any additional guests during those visits, it's $45 each. If it's you and 3 people, you're paying $45 for that extra person. For everyone else, it's $65 per visit and per person. There are 2 weird exceptions, and that's the Venture and the Spark Miles business, which both get 2 visits. Any visits beyond the 2 were $45 for card members or their guests. Both of these are changing in about a year. Effective January 1st, 2025, both the Venture and Spark Miles card members will no longer receive complimentary lounge access. You do have 2 to use for 2024, but they expire December 31st, 2024. Moving forwards in 2025, it's $45 for each card member and their guests. A big reason for this seems to be overcrowding. I'd love to hear your experiences down below because there seems to be differing opinions. For example, some reviews on Yelp have complained that IAD is crowded. One thing that normal people don't seem to be okay with that Capital One is probably trying to address is the fact that lounges are pretty cyclical. So for example, for this person, Wednesday at 4 p.m., there might have been a wait of 15 to 20 minutes. On the other hand, Wednesday at 9 a.m., it might have been practically empty. The rationale being that on Wednesday night, there might be a lot of business travelers who are going back home. Airports have an ebb and flow, and Dulles is busier in the late afternoons and the evenings. Even the DFW one can be hit or miss depending on time of day and also the day of the week. Sometimes it might be crowded and even have a wait, while other times it can be completely empty. I'm not often in the 3 Capital One airports, but for SFO, you see the same issue. There's certain days and time of days you want to avoid. So for example, if I go to the lounge at 6 a.m. to about 7:30 early in the morning, it's pretty empty. On the other hand, around 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., it gets pretty busy because there's a lot of people that have flights around 10:30 and 11. At 10:30, it might be completely empty because the people that were fighting to get into the lounge or who were taking up space in the lounge are now on their flights. So when does your airport have the most flights, and can you maybe avoid that time? A lot of people that have airline status kind of naturally do this already. Reason being that you don't want to fight a lot of other people for upgrades. Obviously, your mileage may vary, but flying 2 hours earlier or 2 hours later isn't really that big of a deal unless it's a super last minute flight. That's not most people though. If you have someone that only flies 1 to 4 times a year, their sample size isn't as big. If they're 0 of 1 or 1 of 2, they're going to be pissed off. On the other hand, someone that's 10 of 12 for a busy lounge doesn't really care. Sometimes it is super busy, and that's the nature of things. So for Capital One, how do they increase the odds of people having a good experience? It's generally cutting access to your less valuable customers. For all intents and purposes, people that have the Venture X and the Venture X business are pretty much their VIPs. They don't really want to take benefits away from these people if they don't need to. The Venture, though, is a bit of a weird middle child. Factor that the Venture did not have lounge access before this anyways. In my head at least, they gave the Venture cardholders this as a teaser benefit to kind of test it out. I think they could have done a better job with marketing, that way they could have had plausible deniability. Even though it sounds like a bad thing and that they're taking something away, I think they're adding more to people that have the valuable cards. With that said, there's 2 other considerations. So the first one is that the Venture X is a Visa Infinite card, while the Venture is not. Maybe I'm dating myself, but there was a 1-year period or maybe 2-year period where a lot of restaurants would not take the Chase Sapphire Reserve. They would tell you it was that because the card was too thick and couldn't go into the system, but somehow they could take the Ritz-Carlton card, which was even thicker. What happened was that people were identifying the Chase Sapphire Reserve and knew that it was more expensive. So the Chase Sapphire Reserve is a Visa Infinite, and Visa Infinite has higher fees. It doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're a restaurant that has very small margins, it can add up. At the same time, if you're a bank that relies on that margin as well, then it can also add up there too. For example, a non-premium Visa card might cost only 1.1%. Moving up the ladder, a premium visa might be 1.85, and then a super premium might be 1.98%. For Visa Infinite, it can be anywhere from 2.3% to 2.6%, potentially 2.5 times as much as a normal Visa card. Interchange fees are shared between card processors, issuing banks, and the network. Consider that Capital One, who is known for subprime, made the Venture X to move upstream to fight with the Chase Sapphire Reserve. They want the higher earners and subsequently the higher spenders. At the same time, they want people that have the Venture card to get or at least consider the Venture X because it makes them more money. The second factor is shared experiences. People make decisions based off the experience of friends, family, and coworkers. Also what they see online on places like YouTube. For example, Delta is considered the most punctual major airline and one of the fewest delays. Still though, delays do happen, and this person who did get delayed got angry about it. What might be lost in the mix is that the person was traveling during one of the busiest times, Memorial Day weekend. So even though Delta has pretty good stats, if they're 0 of 1, you're not going to feel good. Same thing with lounges. For example, if your coworker who travels maybe once a year tells you that the Capital One lounge is a mess and they had to wait an hour to get in, maybe because they were flying during Thanksgiving or Christmas or one of the other busiest times of the year, you might completely dismiss the card, even though by all measures and logically, it's a good card. So $395 annual fee, but you're getting a $300 travel credit for Capital One travel and at least $100 minimum value for the 10,000 anniversary bonus miles. $395 minus $300 minus $100 is -5. If you're traveling at least once a year, you're probably getting value. This is before the Capital One lounges, Plaza Premium, and Priority Pass. And also the fact that you can add up to 4 authorized users for no additional fee, and those people also get the lounge benefits. If you look across the credit card landscape, the Venture X is one of the few S-tier cards. It feels broken, it probably will get nerfed in 2 to 3 years, but until then, you might as well get value from it. If you are on the fence, we do have a calculator to help you kind of make that decision if you Google Venture X AskSebby. The idea is that it helps you quantify the intro bonus, the return on spend there, and also how you value those credits and anniversary bonuses. You can also put in your spend to see how many miles you're going to earn and the value of those miles. I talked a lot about other benefits, but here you can put how much you value each one. That way you're making an educated decision. The end result being an expected value based off how you personally value everything. If you know someone that this can help, feel free to share this with them as well. On that note, if you do want to learn about cards, whether this one or pretty much any other card out there, and you want to support the channel, we do have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. As always, make sure the offers are competitive, that the cards make sense for you, but otherwise, it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you guys in advance. It definitely helps me feed my ducks. Moving into a lightning round, Wells Fargo is launching a business card. There is a lot of pent-up demand here, so they need to deliver. If the transfer partners suck, then it's going to be a laughing stock. Hilton has a pretty good promo for 2024 travel. I'll put a link down below or a blog post with all the offers. You get 2,000 bonus points per stay and 500 points when using digital keys. Offer is valid for stays completed between January 1st and May 1st, 2024, and it's any hotel or resort within the Hilton portfolio. Also, there's no limit on the total number of points that you can earn. It is based off stays, so be careful. For them, a stay is based off the consecutive nights that you spend at the same hotel. Even if you keep checking in and out, it counts as one stay. The trick, which might not be worth your time, is if you have a player 2 and if you both have status. So in those cases, player 1 checks in, next day player 2, next day player 1, next day player 2. If you have Hilton Diamond status anyways, you probably have early check-in and late checkout, so it works out. The juice might not be worth the squeeze, but it's an option. If you fly Southwest and you have a Costco membership, then you can buy a $500 gift card for $429. So about 15% off for your next few Southwest flights. The promo runs until the 25th or until they run out of supplies. There is a limit of 5 of these you can buy for a Costco membership. If you're like me and you have United credits that are expiring, there are tactics to extend it. Lucky has a good post on this and explains it better than I do. You can book a new flight that's a bit more expensive, that uses up the complete certificate, and you pay something out of pocket. You then cancel the flight, but after the 24-hour free cancellation period, and then you get a new voucher with 1 year from the date of travel. So pretty much extending it by at least a year. Bonvoy in Singapore have a pretty good status match right now. It is for people that have Bonvoy Gold status and above. They have a tool showing each option, so you can check this yourself. I figured I'd save you guys some time though, and let's make a chart. For example, if you have gold or lifetime gold, you get Singapore Silver status for 12 months if you do at least 2 Singapore flights within 6 months. For platinum and above, you get silver for 12 months with no requirements, and you can get gold with 4 flights within the next 6 months. Platinum probably being the sweet spot for most people. If you have Bonvoy cards that give you status, this might be an easy match. Okay, so what's the point? So Silver gets you Star Alliance Silver, which isn't that useful, priority reservation waitlist, and standby. Silver is pretty mid here. Singapore Gold gets you Star Alliance Gold, which is substantially more useful. So you get priority check-in, priority baggage handling, and airport lounge access. This is with other Star Alliance member airlines and also Star Alliance lounges. So for example, there's one in LA that's pretty nice. We did a video a while back and we loved the outdoor fireplace. The food wasn't bad, pretty good vibe, reminded us of a nice bar or restaurant. Easy win for me if you already have Bonvoy status from one of your cards. The last topic takes us to New York but affects all credit cards. They ended up passing Senate Bill S7140A, which mandates a 90-day grace period for credit card users to redeem the rewards after the card is closed. One huge thing though is that this does not include fraud and card member misuse. For us, the main draw is that you do have better guardrails, so if you have a ton of points and they close your account, you still have time to use the points. On the other hand, the misuse and fraud side of it might make it pretty easy for credit card companies to just say what you did was fraud. And to be fair, it does depend on how aggressively you're playing things. For example, back in the day, if you were in the American Airlines game, they argued that they were closing the accounts and taking all your points due to fraud. In that case, even though you can argue both sides of it, you probably wouldn't get the 90 days. Again, probably dating myself, but I'm in the same arena as most of you. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave some hand-churned ice cream in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. Few questions for you. Number 1, what are your thoughts on Venture not having access to lounges? Do you think it's a good thing for the Venture X, or is this a whole net bad thing? Number 2, are you doing the Bonvoy Singapore match or not bothering? Lastly, do you think there should be more guardrails for points or not really? Let me know and everyone else know in the comments down below. Big favor, thumbs up, consider subscribing, share this with a friend, but otherwise, hope you liked it. See you next time. Bye.